Hi there, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Catalyst Conversations. And I have a fantastic guest for you, as always. As wealth architects, we don't just manage assets, we actually manage our future potential and our legacy. And that legacy is best exemplified with our children. But what happens when the very systems that we rely on to help our children succeed, the Kumons and the extra help and the IEPs, when they're not producing results? Often we're not looking at a lack of effort on the child's part or on the professional's part. It's not a lack of intelligence. We might actually be looking at a barrier, like a physiological something that's in the way. We have a barrier. So today, I'm joined by Stephanie Beaudet. She is the integrator at Vue Vision Therapy. Steph's mission is deeply rooted in her own discovery that her struggles as a student were not about effort, but about how her brain and her eyes work together. If your mind is not blown yet, it will be blown very soon. We're discussing the staggering statistic that 8 in 10 kids on an IEP have undiagnosed vision issues. We're talking about the real cost of these barriers to a child's lifelong earning potential and how to move past the very heavy mom guilt to become an advocate for your child's future. So get ready for this. Steph, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
I am so excited. So, I'm going to share with our audience that when we initially kind of connected, you were just blowing my mind left and right. I'm like, what is this thing? And I had no clue that the work that you do exists. So, before we delve into the specifics of what you do in your role as integrator at Vue Vision Therapy, let's talk about your experience with learning and how you kind of came around to what you're doing right now.
Yeah, so when I was a kid, I always call myself like the kid that would fall through the cracks. Because on the outside, I was well behaved. I got okay grades. My parents, I don't think really had to think too hard about how is Stephanie going to do in school. On the contrast, I had a brother who was more of a class clown, the kind of kid that's the teachers were not like always super excited about having in their class. And so I was the easier kid to deal with in that
Yes.
sense. And so I remember being the kid that like I would think I was stupid. I would think
Mm,
I would have to try really, really hard to get mediocre grades. Sometimes I would get really good grades, but for the most part, I'd say I was a solid like C's, B's kind of a kid.
mhm.
Not because I now I recognize it's not because I wasn't able to do it. It's that when I was looking at the information, my brain didn't know what to do with it. And
Wow.
so I can actually look at this the simplest for me with math and going like, I actually think that my brain and how I look at information in the world, math should come really easily to me. But
Mhm.
because I wasn't actually able to take that information into my brain and organize it properly, I find it very challenging to understand some mathematical concepts.
Right.
And so in school, I would, I remember this one time in grade 9, it was a math test. And I remember looking at the information and going, this is going to take me forever. I don't know what to do with this.
Mhm.
And I just didn't even try. I think I wrote my name down.
Yeah.
Um, I figured it was easier to not try and tell people I just didn't want to try than it was to try and fail. Because to me, trying and then failing would make me feel weak.
Yeah.
And so
Absolutely.
I just didn't want to try. Um, and so I managed to get through all of it. I actually decided because of that, though, that I was going to abandon sciences and math.
Mhm.
And as soon as I could drop those programs, I did because they were too hard for me. I actually went back in my mid 20s and did it all myself.
Okay.
And what I found was I really like chemistry. I really like biology. I really like accounting. Um, I actually do really well in these subjects.
So what
And
changed for you? What made you decide, you know what, I'm gonna do this?
I just wanted more for my own life, really. And the funny thing is, this is actually before I found out why those things were hard for me.
Wow.
And so, because I decided to really put the effort into those things, because I decided to go back to school when I was in my 20s and redo high school courses, that's actually how I ended up like applying to university in Guelph and meeting with Dr. Quaid and finding out that there was actually a visual reason why I struggled in school that you never would have seen. Um,
Wow.
my parents would never have thought to get me tested for anything because I didn't appear to struggle.
So since we're here, you can see fine.
Yes.
Like in the physical world, in the I like how we pick things up, you have hand-eye coordination. If you went to the optometrist, you would be fine. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yes, I would pass all their tests.
You'd pass all the tests, so you can see fine, but you can't see fine.
Yeah, so there's sight, which is the ability to see clearly on a chart. So when I was a kid, so I've actually had laser eye surgery to fix my sight.
Right.
When I was a kid, I had glasses for distance, so I could see in the distance. That part they could fix with glasses. Sight is the ability to see letters clearly. True vision is understanding everything that you see, and
Ooh,
vision
I
takes
love
place
that.
in the brain.
Vision is being able to understand what you see, and vision happens not in the eye, not in the organ that is the eye, but in the brain. Okay, mind blown again. I love how you framed that. So you kind of went on the path of discovery and realized that you had great sight, but imperfect vision.
Correct. Yeah. So what was happening for me is that I could see all the letters on the page. I could make them out. I could look at the blackboard and I could take in the information. But once I saw it, my brain didn't know what to do with it. And
Mhm.
I couldn't organize it in my brain and then get it back out from a comprehension perspective to pass my test.
Wow.
So the teacher could write down on the board, I'm going to use simple math. The teacher could write down on the board, 2 plus 2 is 4. And I could look at the board and I could go, 2 plus 2 is 4.
Right.
And then but because my brain can't organize it, it can't store it, it can't extrapolate, like, what does that mean in other scenarios? Because you all
Hmm.
know tests, right? The teacher tells you one thing and then they write down a comprehension question later that's similar enough but also different enough that you couldn't have
Yes.
just memorized the answer. That's what I couldn't piece together.
So it's the comprehension part of it.
Yeah.
It's the let's take what you know and apply it, and
Yes.
then, shake the jar up a little bit and give you the same thing but in a different format, and all of a sudden you don't know what to do with it.
Exactly. And so for kids that truly understand content, you can mix it up in a bunch of different ways and they will understand that content and be able to spit out the information and give you the right answers. But when we memorize things, I was a memorizer. I would try really, really hard to just memorize.
Mhm.
And so as soon as the question was framed in a way that didn't fit my memorization, I was unable to answer the questions.
Something
And
about that just breaks my heart because
yeah,
you see the kids that they try, man, they give that thing
oh yeah,
everything, and they still can't make it. And we're not even talking about the parents yet. But wow, how is this different from like dyslexia or any other form of, misunderstanding, vision versus sight? How is this different?
yeah. So dyslexia is something that can overlap with a vision disorder as well,
Okay.
because like the way that it was explained to me is inside of our brains are these things called mirror neurons. And I don't mean to get very technical, but there's mirror neurons in our brain. So if you look at, let's use like a tree. A
Mhm.
tree is if you cut it down the middle in half where it's vertical, it's still, it's a tree. It looks the exact same.
Right.
If I take a book or something, it's a book no matter how you do it, right? You can flip it upside down, you can turn it sideways. We know it's a book.
Hmm.
Okay. But what happens is that you take a B and a D, which are technically the exact same letter, just one is flipped.
Right.
And those mirror neurons fire and go, this is the same. So
Ah.
that's why B's and D's get mixed up and
Hmm.
P's and Q's get mixed up.
Right.
But you'll notice that M's and W's don't. And that's because the mirror neurons don't fire the same way. Because when you
Ah.
cut a tree in half horizontally, the bottom is a stump and the
And the
top
top
is where it's
canopy.
leaves, a
Yeah.
canopy. Yeah. And so it's actually a different thing. And so you don't typically see the reversals on M's and W's, but you will
Hmm.
see them on B's, D's, P's, and Q's.
I see. Okay, so then that's it's kind of a similar issue, but it's manifesting in a very specific way, and we call it
Yeah.
dyslexia. But it's kind of still under the umbrella of a vision disorder, in that the brain doesn't know what to do with what's coming through the eye.
Yeah. And again, like it's not to say that all forms of dyslexia are a vision issue, because there are
Right.
definitely some independent dyslexia diagnoses. It's just that you might get, like for instance, I know with some dyslexia, an S and a dollar sign you could mix up, right?
Okay.
And that's not necessarily a vision issue. That can be a different form of dyslexia. But there are some things that can mask as dyslexia. And
Right.
so the other aspect of it too is that some kids that we see actually have double vision, which means that so each of our eyes, there's two of them, as we all know, see an image. And if you
Hmm.
have a functioning visual system, those eyes take those images and overlap them where they are perfectly over top of each other. And that's what helps us create depth.
Right.
When kids can't do that, they actually see two images. And so when their visual system is even weaker, that what happens is they go from single to double. And
Right.
then so what happens on a page when you're trying to read and things are coming in and out of clarity where it's single double,
Hmm.
number one, the word that you just read, like even if it's the word the, doesn't look the same at the beginning of text to the end because it's not. Your vision is going in and out of focus.
Oh
It
my.
also takes B's and D's, P's and Q's, and moves where the stick is. And so they could read any word, like I'll use the word plum because you got a P and a B in there. Um, and oh, thinking of plumber, but anyways,
Yeah.
you could read
Yeah.
the
I
word
got you. I
plum.
got you.
Yeah. And in one part of that, the P looks like a P. And then if you
Mhm.
get farther down, if your vision is going in and out of clarity, the line can kind of move over in your brain to make it look like a Q. Because the
Wow.
child's visual system, as they read, their eyes start to weaken and they can't keep it the image what we would call fused. They can't keep it single and clear.
What does that do with the, because I'm thinking, okay, as an adult, I'm thinking that is frustrating, that is painful, that is going to drive me up the wall. Now I'm thinking this is happening to a child who is still learning how to regulate themselves. That child is still learning how to manage within systems that may or may not, have supports for them. How, what's the behavior like? What are we seeing manifested when children have these kinds of vision issues?
A lot of dysregulation.
I see you laughing about it, and I'm
Yeah,
sure there are some parents who are like, I'm laughing. This is not funny because they're
no,
in it,
absolutely.
but absolutely, I can imagine.
Yeah. And so a lot of dysregulation. So you actually kind of get like one of two camps. So you get either the kid who becomes like my brother, the class clown, right?
Hmm.
Reading is hard. Reading hurts. Reading makes me angry.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop doing it.
Yeah.
Those are the kids that parents like, why are they so lazy? And you're like, they're not. The words go double on the page for them.
Yeah.
And if words went double on a page for you, you'd probably also give up.
Yep.
And so they become the class clowns. They become distracted. They can also get misdiagnosed with ADHD because they appear hyperactive
Hmm.
because they are just deciding to disengage from this. So disengagement can either look like class clown, it could look like laziness, it could look like lack of effort. And so those kids get identified or labeled incorrectly sometimes as well. We do have a lot of parents that come in and just break down in tears because, like, oh my God, I just thought they were lazy. And then they feel so bad because they've labeled their kid when we're like, no, they're not lazy. They actually put in a lot of effort. That effort did not get rewarded. And so now they're just disengaging. The other
Yeah,
way that it
wow.
can go is, like I said, dysregulation. And you said I laughed, and I did because I have this kid. So, and I'm not, it's more laughing out of frustration of like, oh my gosh, where they try really hard all day at school and they will kind of force their way through the challenges of it. And we all have that kid. Well, we don't all have that kid. Some of us have that kid. I do. That they go to school and the teacher's like, she is an angel. She is so amazing. And she answers all the questions. She does all the work. She is so lovely all the time. And then
Yes.
she comes home and like, it's like she walks in the door and there's just a complete explosion. Like it's like a nuclear blast of just like, blah! And you're like, okay,
She
okay.
saved it all for you,
She
Steph.
saved it all for me. And people tell me that I should really like, it's okay because you're her safe place. Like,
Yes.
yep.
That perspective only goes so far.
And I'm like, yes, I am her safe place. Huzzah for that. I am genuinely happy about that. And
And
can we help her kind of like regulate a little bit differently through the day? Um, my other daughter, on the other hand, she lets the teachers know exactly in the moment that she's dysregulated and she can come home a bit better.
oh, I see. So you've got
Yeah,
both of them.
I have
And
both of them.
in your mind, because now you know, now you're the practitioner, you've been exposed, you understand. Do you see the root cause for both of them as being a vision issue, or are you thinking that it's something else?
For my oldest daughter, my oldest daughter is 7. She's kind of around that age where like I can see she's picking up reading really fast. Um, I see with her some more of the challenges of like just always wanting to get to the end.
Got it.
She will be the kid that will never show her work, but she will unfortunately get the answer correct.
But
And
that's a personality thing, I'm
that's a
thinking.
personality thing, yeah. But so that's where I'm seeing though is like her ability to, because she jumps to the end on things, her ability to kind of like take in the world, take in her surroundings and process it properly
Yeah.
is not there. I did take her in to the clinic and got her a vision assessment last year. I got one every year, but um, and Dr. Cunningham did say like, okay, like we've got some like primitive reflex stuff going on, and so I did take her to occupational therapy for a while. And basically, the answer that he gave me was, she's gonna need vision therapy.
Yeah.
Let's just wait until she is cognitively able to handle that load.
Okay. Okay. So
So
then you have a timing issue as well.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And so we got her glasses because what was happening was that she was fatiguing. Her eyes were getting really tired when she was reading.
Right.
And so then she would kind of not want to read. And so we did get her some reading glasses and she loves wearing them because they make her eyes feel happier.
Yes, of course. And who wouldn't, especially if she's
Yeah.
someone who wants to read, right?
Yes. And so she's able to pick it up. So she
Hmm.
doesn't have that brain comprehension issue as much like I did. I think
Hmm.
she's got some weaker eye muscles. She's got
Okay.
like more of like the struggle that way because you can have one or the other or both.
Right.
So I think hers is a bit more like functional. We need to functionally strengthen that system.
Right.
And because of that, that can lead to headaches, it can lead to fatigue, which can also then lead to dysregulation.
Right. Right.
Because the
Right.
more she's trying to like keep her eyes focused on stuff, the more she can kind of get agitated because she's feeling that fatigue as well.
Yeah. I see dysregulation being, in fact, I see us looking at the external and getting the wrong answer until we
Yeah.
get professional opinions or professionally diagnosed, because I've also heard of so many parents who their gut is saying something else is wrong, but the teachers are saying it's ADHD, or a doctor is saying give them some pills, and that parent is feeling I don't there's something else wrong, because
Yeah.
even I mean what we're doing, what I see happening is we just want the child to behave,
Yeah.
right? We just want the child to just sit down. I remember when we were having our very first child, a good friend of ours who's older, he says, yeah, you're the first year or two, all you want for them to do is say mama, dada, and
Yeah.
start walking. Once they get that, all you want them to do is
Sit
sit
down.
down and shut up.
Yeah.
But then we want them to comply. And
Yeah.
that's the part that's scary for me, because we want them to operate in systems that may not be designed for how they learn and how they take the world in. I love the intentionality of what you do, in that going to the root cause is much more beneficial. And it helps them feel better about themselves, because it's one thing for you to be called the class clown. It's something else for you to internalize and take on that identity, and then go out of your way to be that to the world when that may not even be you. That's a coping mechanism.
Absolutely.
Right? So I see this kind of stuff really impacting identity. How do you work with the child who has constantly been told you are disruptive, go to detention, you misbehave, you will never settle in the class, and then the parent hears this, comes and sees you, realizes there is that underlying vision challenge, but the child has assumed an identity that has a negative connotation. How do we repair that?
Yeah, so that can get tricky. Just in terms of it, you have to help the child feel safe enough that you can remove that part of the identity.
Mhm.
There's almost an aspect of like breaking that identity down, and the kid has to be open to that. So
Mhm.
there's a shift in from grade 3 to 4 when we go from learning to read to reading to learn.
Yes.
And getting them before that shift usually stops that identity from happening, right? Because up until grade 3, parents can also just go, or even teachers go, they're just still learning. They're learning. It's okay. They're developmentally in line. And then it's like you get to grade 4, and all of a sudden they're like, they're behind. And you're like,
Whoa.
how, like like in June of last year in grade 3, you said we're good. September of grade 4, somehow
They're
they're
being.
behind. What happened in 2 months? It's because the demands on the system change. And so I know for me, when I really started feeling like I was stupid and didn't really know, that was like grades 4, 5, and 6. And by
Mhm.
that point, I had kind of rooted that identity as I don't need to be someone that tries. It was
Right.
easier for me to just not try. Um, and so there is that idea of, can we get it before the identity? Because that's
Mhm.
easier. And we do have a lot of kids that are like 8 to 13 as well. And they kind of come in with that identity. And I'll address that in a second. We also have teenagers. Teenagers becomes harder because it's easier in the sense that you can legitimately have a conversation with them about it. And they are still not an adult. And
Mhm.
so they really have to be willing. So when we actually educate families on our treatment protocol, we make sure that a teenager has their own education, like on what our program is and what it will entail, because their buy-in to the system has to work, because it's saying we have to break down this identity that you've built. And I know it's there to protect you.
Mhm.
We will never be able to truly get you where you need to be without breaking that down, though.
Right.
So they have to buy into that. For the younger kids, though, the ones that it's not so ingrained, it really is just about meeting them where they are. And
Mm.
so, like Dr. Cunningham, actually, he went out one day to do a therapy session on a kid, and the kid did not want to come in. Like the kid's like literally like arms and legs, like in an X on the door, and mom's trying to get him in. And so Dr. Cunningham said, hey, like, can we just, let's all just like calm down,
Uh-huh.
basically. And he went like, hey, buddy, like, do you want to come in and play cards with me?
Huh.
Let's just play cards. We're going to play war. Do you know how to play war? Let's do that on the floor right here.
Right.
And the kid was like, okay. Now, visually, we have a way of like identifying one eye at a time, which is that
Hmm.
one eye can see red and one eye can see green. So he was playing with what we call red green cards. Okay.
Okay.
And so one of the cards is green. So if you're wearing the right glasses, only one eye can see them. And the idea is to make sure that you can then bring the images together. But he didn't start that way. He just went
Ah,
like, hey, buddy, like, let's play war. Do you know how to play that? Gets the kid
right.
to come in and play war. Okay, cool. Can you put these glasses on for me? Like, that'll be an interesting thing to do it. The kid will put the glasses on for him.
Right.
Hey, you know what? Like, I'm pretty old. Can we get off of the floor and go sit on a chair
I
at a
like your
table
Dr.
that's,
Cunningham.
yeah. Like, can we just go sit down in a chair? Because I'm a bit more comfortable in a chair. And that got the kid in the door,
Yeah.
right? And
Hmm.
so it's not about forcing activities on kids. It's not about
Right.
forcing them into stuff. It's literally going, hey, let's meet this kid where he is. This kid is scared. This kid doesn't want to come in. This kid heard therapy and it sounds really daunting and scary.
Hmm.
Let's just make it somewhat more inviting for them, right?
Right. Right.
Let's not push them beyond the point that they're able to. And for us, it also really comes down to, can we support mom? Because let's be honest, mom is usually the primary caregiver. Mom is in charge of healthcare, and mom has a lot going on.
Yep. Trust me.
And so, yeah. And so, like, one of our other doctors, she's got 3 kids, and she's like, if you asked me to do homework every night, I'd say no. Like,
Yeah.
I
No, for
can't do
real.
that
Yeah.
for real. Um, and so we're like, that's okay. What can you do? Right. But so a lot of it comes down to supporting mom as well, because we might
Hmm.
know optometry, we might know therapy, but mom knows her kid. And so when you say things like that of like getting your kid to comply, I'm like, I want my kid to comply. And I also know my kid.
Yeah.
So I'll use an example unrelated to vision. Getting my little one into the pool for swimming, one of the worst experiences of my week.
Okay.
And I know that she just needs to be pushed, but still cared for. Like, don't
Hmm.
take her and throw her in the pool because she's never going to get in again.
Listen, that worked for some people,
That works for some people. But if
but
you do
you
that to
know
my
your
little one,
kid. Hmm.
she's never going to get in the pool again. But if
Yeah.
you can hold boundaries with her and say, we're going to get in the pool. Like, do you
Yes.
want to get in yourself or do you want me to bring you in?
Yes.
She'll
These are
pick
the
and go, I
only
want
two
to get in.
options on the table.
Yeah. The option is not getting in the pool. The option that you have is these things. And so I had to communicate better with her swim teacher going, I know you know how to teach swimming.
Hmm.
I know how to get my kid in the pool.
Right.
And I know that this is, and like, you're being too passive with her. You're letting her think that she's running the swimming lesson and she's not doing anything. You
Right.
need to be firmer. And now swimming has gotten better because I'm not trying to interfere with swimming. I'm just trying to help you teach my kid. And so
Right.
it's the same thing here. A lot of the times parents, like, sometimes our therapists will think like, what are they watching me do therapy? I'm like, they have no idea what you're doing. They don't
No.
know. They are wondering if their kid is listening to you. They
Uh-huh.
want to know about their kid's behavior. They're trusting you to do the vision part.
Right.
And
Right.
if and in that sense of things, it does come to like, how do you support mom? What's mom struggling with? How's homework going? Do you even want homework? Because if you can't do
Yeah.
it, let's not feel guilt about that.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
program can go faster if you do home reinforcement. And some people are like, I don't care. I'll be here longer. I can't do homework.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. There's no guilt. There's no shame. We all have the same goal, right? So it's kind
Right.
of just working together as a team and being able to also, like, if a kid shuts down, like truly just shuts down, going like, oh, pushed you too far.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and I will share the story that so Dr. Cunningham and I were doing this is years ago. We were doing some therapy on me, and he just somehow triggered that 8-year-old version of me. We were doing a game, and he was just like, we were just playing, and all of a sudden, I was 8 years old again. I was an idiot. I thought I was stupid, and I just looked at him. I was like, "You need to close the door." And he goes, "Okay," and he gets up and shuts the door, and I just started crying.
Oh
And he
my
was like,
goodness.
oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I was like, it's fine. Like, because it was just playing one of those, the games that would deal with comprehension.
Mm-hmm.
And it just triggered me in a way that I didn't expect. And
Wow.
so like that's because we were playing at a higher level, right? But
Right.
like that's the type of thing where if that ever got to that point with a kid, you know you've gone too far. We teach our therapists how not to get there. We
Right.
teach them like this is the body language that you need to look for. Are they getting flushed? Are they getting more fidgety than usual? Like these are the things that you need to watch for in terms of that nervous system regulation to make sure that
Right.
you're not pushing a kid outside of their comfort zone.
Because you do get those, we do have those physical signals. We do have those external signals that indicate when the systems are being stressed or when they're
Yes.
being stressed too much, because you don't want to challenge the systems. But if it's going too far, then you're running the risk of, just messing up everything and maybe
Yeah.
having to start over. So I get that part. What I'd like to kind of touch on is the moms, the
Yeah.
caregivers. I'll say caregivers' guilt, but based on our audience, I'll say the mom's guilt because one of the things that I find, like I recently, I remember saying to my older daughter, I said to her, "Do you remember that first time she had an asthma attack? She was probably one. She has no memory of this, 1 or 1.5, whatever it was." And I said to her, "I'm there, like lying next to you, thinking you have a cold, and I'm saying to you, just open your mouth and breathe, because why are you trying to force breathing through your nose? Just open your mouth. I'm like, open your mouth." Only to find out that my daughter was showing me she could not get air in. And I remember ending up, of course, at the hospital in the emergency room and feeling so horrible because I was asking the child to do something that I thought was like, duh, and
Yeah. It's
she
breathing.
couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I have very, very firsthand experience with the mom guilt. What do
Yeah.
you see? In fact, I know what you probably see when these aha moments of realization comes up, but how does the mom address this feeling of completely failing your child?
Yeah. So I will say it happens a lot. I have excellent doctors that work on my team, and like they are so good at handling that situation as well. Because
Mhm.
mom does like they break down. They either going to break down in the exam room or they're going to break down in our parent education session because that's where we actually go like we have somebody on our team who talks to our the parents in English, like not in doctor.
Yes.
And she actually works with us because she put her daughter through it and then came to me after and said, I need to work with you. Like I need to help more people understand this.
Mhm.
And so what ends up happening is I go, how did I not know? You get two things. One, how did I not know? Or two, did I give this to them?
Oh,
But it's the how did I not know is really the biggest one, especially when the kid sees double.
hmm.
And because the parents, it's so weird to us. If I woke up tomorrow and I saw two of everything, I'd go, oh my goodness, I should go see a doctor.
Right, right.
But a child that has seen double their entire life is never going to tell you that they see double.
They just think it's
And
normal.
they think it's normal. And so one of our doctors had a mom crying in the exam room, going, how did you not tell me? And the kid said, well, I looked over it. I'm going to say Timmy was his neighbor. I looked over at Timmy's math test and there was two of them too. So I just assumed he saw both also.
Oh my God.
Because kids don't know. And I ask people when, because they just, this doesn't people don't get this part. And,
Yeah.
and I'll say, when was the last time you asked your child, do you see one of this or two of this?
I have
Like,
never, and
why
I've
would
got
you?
university student children. I have never
Why
asked
would
that
you?
question.
It's not a question that would come naturally, right?
No.
Because why would you? And so, in that sense of things, people go through that kind of like, oh my God, how did I not see this coming? I know my kid better than anybody. How did
Hmm.
I not know? And the reality is that because you're not taught, is that vision therapy, visual weaknesses, all of this stuff is not something that the vast majority of people are aware could even be a root cause
Yeah.
of things. And the reality is that 40% of our brain is vision. And it's an under talked about area of development.
Yeah.
If you're trying to read, you need to use your eyes.
100%.
And how that actually works is very complicated and is very easy to disrupt in early development. And so you could have kids that are 6 to 6 months old have something happen that's going to disrupt their visual development. And they would never know any different.
No.
And so when looking at that, parents just really think there's two things. One, I should have known, or two, it comes down to those labels that parents put on their kids. You're being lazy. Like to your point, oh my God, I can't believe I was telling you to breathe when you couldn't breathe.
You couldn't breathe.
Parents will get that too. I can't believe I just kept on saying them to read
Yeah.
because reading was a thing that hurt them, right? And so
And
parents
then
deal
go
with it.
read some more or
Yeah,
spend more
just try
time
harder.
reading. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Why won't you
man.
try?
Yeah.
Right. And so it does become a challenge. Like I said, our doctors and the parent educator are really good at being like, hey, the important thing is that you're here now. Like
Mhm.
it is not too late to fix this. And ultimately, what I would say to parents in that sense of things is just repair, right? Like I like to say a lot at work, like do the best. And I think it's from Brene Brown or something like that. Like do the best that you know until you know better, and then do that.
Yes.
And so in this instance, all of us as parents, like we're all trying to do the right thing. We're all trying to we know that reading is an essential piece of life.
Yes.
So we're trying to make sure our kid is enabled and equipped to read.
Right.
We're doing the best that we know by doing that. Well, if your child has an undiagnosed vision issue and is unable to read and you learn about that, okay, well now I'd say go get that resolved, but go back and repair with your kid and say
Yeah.
like, hey, I know before when doing homework, I would get a bit over exuberant about just do the work. And I
Right.
wouldn't say it this way to my kid, obviously, right? But kind of going
Yeah.
back to the kid and saying, like, I didn't know then, and I didn't know the questions to ask you.
Hmm.
And like, I'm sorry about that. We now know we're going to do this differently. We're going to get you treated because ultimately we can resolve most of those concerns and issues through vision therapy. We don't teach reading, but we fix the visual system so that the visual system can learn to read. When
Right.
we build in the foundational systems that are actually required to have your system working to read.
Yeah.
Tell the kid that we're going to do this to make learning and reading easier and more accessible to you.
Yeah.
We're
And
going to
then
work
there's also
together.
there's that long-term application as well. So if caregiver can just get out of their own way
Yeah.
and, don't make it about you, although we do appreciate that, the mom guilt exists,
Oh yeah, it's
connecting with
real.
the child authentically and saying, you know what, I'm really sorry. I
Yeah.
said I was asking you to do things that you really struggled with and I did not understand. And having that relationship, I think that's great. But I wanted to kind of look at the other side of coming to this, which is that this therapy comes at a cost. Now, we live in Canada where our healthcare is covered. It's free for the most part, and we have
Yeah.
access to great healthcare. Imperfect, but great healthcare.
Yep.
We have access to supports in our school system. We have access to free education at that elementary and high school level. So within those education systems, there are supports for
Yes.
students who may struggle with learning. Steph, they have never offered vision therapy supports or assessments in the school system. And I don't want to get into all the political and, all of
Yeah.
that sort of stuff, but there is a parent there who's listening and thinking, I think I want this for my child, but I may have an affordability issue. One of the things I'm thinking of here is, do I spend on helping resolve this issue? Or do I have this child maintain a handicap their whole life that
Yeah.
this one investment could resolve? How do you address that with your parents?
Yeah. So the shocking statistic, like you mentioned in the beginning, right? 8 and 10 kids in school class in the school system are on an IEP.
Hmm.
Usually that's going to be triggered with, well, not usually, but there is a large portion of those that are reading.
Hmm.
Okay. And so then you add in the learning disability. I bring this up because there was a study done with, it was actually a study commissioned by the Learning Disability Association of Canada. And it was called Learning Disabilities in Canada, Economic Costs to Individuals, Families, and Society. So it's from 2002. So it's old at this point. But what that study said in 2002 was that a child with a learning disability is going to lose out on the lifelong earning potential of $1.98 million.
No way.
In today's dollars, that's 3.35 million. So if your child,
Just on account of the learning disability that they're
yes,
struggling with in elementary school.
yes, correct. And then you put that into context of 8 in 10 kids have an IEP. So they have learning difficulties. I prefer difficulties than disabilities, but
Right.
not every kid that has a learning difficulty even gets an IEP.
Oh, imagine the ones that need it and don't even get
Yes,
it.
I would have been one of those. I would have needed it, but didn't get it, right? Because I
Right.
wouldn't have qualified. The other one that I heard was, as a parent, it makes me cringe. Again, in 2002, the cost to the family to try to remediate through tutoring or other supports, things like that,
Mhm.
between grades 1 and 12 was $455,000.
That's a mortgage.
In today's dollars, it's 770,000
Yep,
between grades 1 and 12.
that's a condo in
Yeah,
downtown Toronto.
absolutely. And so when you look at this, and like parents can sometimes be like, do I put money into tutoring? Do I put money into psych ed assessments? Do I put money into BT? Where do I put the money? Obviously, I'm biased because I work in vision therapy.
Right, right.
But if you can give a child the foundational skills that they need to be able to access the learnings, then the supports that the school provides can actually be really effective.
Right.
Because now you've put money into building those foundational visual skills. Like we just actually had a kid that we sent a report back to the school saying, hey, like I always use Timmy as my proverbial patient. You gave Timmy all of these supports to learn to read last year. His visual system was not in a place that it could retain that information.
Hmm.
We've now fixed that. His visual system is ready to accept this. Could
Right.
you please give him those supports again? Because
Right.
now they need to go and build up that skill to teach him to read. But now Timmy can do that faster.
Right.
And so it's not to say that you won't need reading support. It's not to say that you won't need to spend some money in tutoring to get them back up to grade level. But the financial investment in the foundational skills the idea is to reduce that overall income loss to a child and the family burden I say burden, it shouldn't be, but the financial cost
Yeah.
to families to try to actually like help remediate their kids through these things.
Yeah.
So,
It's you're setting it up so that what you're spending money on would actually work.
yes.
If we do the foundational stuff to prepare the ground. So instead of just spending money on tutoring, you're spending money to ensure that the tutoring is going to be beneficial.
Yeah, and I will say again as a parent, right? I will spend any amount of money on my kids as
Yep.
long as it's working,
Yes.
right? So again, I will use swimming as an example with my kid. I
Mhm.
am happy to pay. I've got her in private swimming lessons because I want her to learn how to swim. My
Right.
one daughter, my oldest, thriving, happy to pay for it.
Right.
My youngest daughter, the one that I have to like convince to get in the pool with like, do you want to get in now or later type of thing?
Right.
I'm going, why am I paying for this? I don't feel like it's working,
Yes.
right? That's not a knock on the system.
Yep.
It's my kid is not thriving in it, right? And so
Right.
I know a lot of parents have the same issue with tutoring. Why am I still paying for tutoring? They're not getting it.
Right.
But then the guilt also sets in of I can't take them out of tutoring because they're still not getting it.
That's right.
And
Right.
so it becomes a sunk cost fallacy of I've already spent thousands of dollars in tutoring. His grades are still not improving. I guess I should pay for more tutoring,
Wow.
right? And so it just kind of becomes the cyclical problem. Or they then start going, I should go talk to the school about reading supports. I should go down and try to get an IEP. I should get a psych ed eval. And all of these things end up costing more and more money. The schools
Yeah.
can only do so much. The
Yes,
schools
of
can't provide
course.
free supports for all of it. And ultimately, their job is just to make sure that your kid can get through the school system, not to bring them up to grade level.
That's right. They need the education system has its own desired outcomes. But I
Yes.
feel as a parent, I want to see my child well. I want to see my
Yes.
child whole. I want to see them
I want my kid to love
thriving.
school and learning.
Yeah, love learning. The school part we figure our way
Yeah, yeah,
out
fair. Love
through.
learning. Yeah.
But I want that curiosity. I want that joy in
Yeah.
discovery and experimentation. And if they have those foundational vision issues, none of that, their curiosity dies simply from the effort of discovery.
Yeah.
And to me, discovery is where the fun is. It's where the excitement
Yeah.
comes, like, let's see what happens. So I totally get that. I totally get that. And I really hope, and speaking from my experiences with, cultural contributors to how we learn, how we're seen and perceived in the world, I really wish that more families would look at, getting these a broader field of diagnostics as opposed
Yeah.
to just what is out there. In my mind, it's an investment, not a cost. Would you agree?
Yeah. I would totally agree. I think, and I'm trying to look at things like that for myself in my life and going like, yeah, no, it's because there is a return on that investment, both
Yes.
in your pocket, in your child's future pocket,
Yeah.
and in your mental health and your kids' mental health.
Big, big, big.
Because
That is
yeah,
huge.
yeah, it's going to improve the relationship because then the kid feels like they're getting help and their parents supporting them. It's going to, yeah, it's such a huge impact. And I just wish more people knew about it because I talk to people all the time, like, why didn't I know? And I'm like, I know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why. But I think we've done our part because
Yeah,
we can't, they say you can bring the horse to the water, but you can't make
yeah,
it drink or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
I think our role here is to let people know because in much the same way I didn't know anything about this before we interacted. It's the same where I think someone in our audience also is having that aha moment. So before we wrap up, I'd like to ask for the parent that is now aware that vision therapy is a thing, it exists, it may be able to help. What is one sign that they could look for in their child that might have them think this might actually be a vision issue, not a cognitive, not a lazy issue or anything like that. One sign that might say this is vision, not sight.
yeah. The biggest one would be if your kid's on an IEP or in process of getting one, or you're going down that psych eval route. Like that would be just the easiest. Like vision might be a thing for the
Okay.
parents, so that are going, that's not me. I would really look at like, how is homework? Are
Mhm.
kids excited about it, or are they? And it's not to say that every kid should like homework, but it's more that idea of like, when you read them a book, do they understand? When they
Mhm.
read a book, do they understand?
Right.
Can they give it back to you? Right. If they're reading a book, are they rubbing their eyes a lot? Are they
Mhm.
having a hard time? Right. So kind of looking for those signs of visual strain and comprehension. Those would be the biggest things that I would say.
Mhm.
Because those are more like, it's hard because we don't always know until they're in the chair, but there are definitely telltale signs, and comprehension is a huge one. If
Right.
your child is struggling with reading comprehension, that is a pretty big sign that there is something else that's going on.
Something else is going on. Listen, this has been fantastic. And I have so many more questions. I'm going to tell you honestly. I'm sitting
Happy
in
to
the
chat
chair.
anytime.
I'm like, okay, Hadri, like reel it in, reel it in. But
Yeah.
no, this has been fantastic. I know that there are people who are going to want more information. So please tell us where they can find you in the digital spaces. And you are in Guelph, located
And
physically
North York.
in North York. Okay, give us the
Yeah.
details on how we can find you, Steph.
Yeah, so the simplest way to find out like more about the company is to go to the website, which is www.vuetherapy.ca. Me specifically, you can always go onto LinkedIn. I think it's called a handle, I'm not really sure, is just Steph Beaudette, which is Beaudette.
Perfect.
And then otherwise, you can always just email the office and say, hey, I'm looking for more information. We have a free discovery call, which is for people to just talk to, like usually our patient educator, are amazing. administrator, Val, is also doing them now, and she's spectacular. And you can book those directly on the website, actually, for a time that's convenient. But it's a 15-minute call. There's no obligation, and it really is just going like, this is what I'm seeing. So it could be,
Yeah.
I heard the podcast. I don't know if my kid needs an assessment. This is what I'm noticing. What do you think? And we'll
Yeah.
tell you honestly, because there's two things. One, we don't want to waste your time, and we don't want to waste our time.
Yeah.
And so if you call us and say, this is what my kid's doing, this is the symptoms that that they're experiencing, we'll tell you really honestly, like, yes, that is something that we can help you with, or no, it can't, or no, we
Right.
can't. So you can either email info@viewtherapy.ca, or if you go straight to the website, there's a book an appointment button, and that actually just links straight to the free discovery call online.
Awesome. This is so, so good. I can't thank you enough for sharing this information and for really, to be honest, this could literally change a family's life. And
Oh, generational impact.
generational impact. It's something that as much as I say it lightly that it blew my mind, but it really I can see how this could really just change everything. So Steph, thank you so much. I appreciate having you.
Oh, I loved being here. Thank you so much for the invite.
Awesome, awesome. Well, to the parents who are listening, if you feel like you've been throwing money at tutoring or support plans that are not working, you need to take a step back. You need to seek clarity that's at the root cause. And as Steph reminded us, when we know better, we do better. So, your child's future earning potential, and more importantly, I think, their sense of self, their very self-worth is worth the strategic investment. So you know where to find Stephanie online. Go visit her, book that session, get some clarity, and you might be surprised to find that the thing you thought was a life sentence turns out to be a stepping stone in the direction of greatness. And if you are ready to apply the same root cause thinking to your own financial life, to stop managing symptoms and actually start architecting a legacy, please visit my website, moneynavigator.ca. Take the Catalyst Index and let's find your blind spots in your wealth journey, get you to full alignment. So thanks so much again. I'm Hadriana Leo. Architect your wealth, protect your legacy, and I will see you next time. Take care.